Welcome to the Jump. I'm Rich Bowers, and today with me I have Jamison Ducey, a AI and Gen AI, among other things, expert. Good morning, Jamison.
Hey, Rich. Good morning.
Thanks for being on, and I had to have you on. This past week, couple days and change, OpenAI has been having a couple different releases, right? Some new features. And when we first started chatting about having you on, there was just the one update, and that's where we'll start. OpenAI, the ChatGPT, will be able to remember information about you and your conversations. And I thought, man, who can explain to me what this means? Like I'm a 5-year-old best. And I said, Jameson. Jameson, so take it away. How is the model able to do that?
Yeah, totally. So, I'd say the way that I would break it down is we're basically just giving ChatGPT another tool at its disposal that it can use. And this one's just a notepad and a pencil, basically. And we're saying, hey, if you notice something about this conversation that you think might be good to keep, just write it down.
Excellent. So now putting this in terms of using the model, right? That means that if I'm doing prompts or interacting with it to handle different scenarios or even learning from it, it's going to remember everything that I ask.
It's going to remember a good portion, and it's up to the discretion of the model, of course, but it's been fine-tuned to say, okay, this is something that I should remember, especially if it's something that you repeat over in the conversation.
Okay, perfect. And then so I'm assuming it's not going to remember sensitive data though.
Not necessarily. You do have access to that little notepad that you give it, and if there are
Mhm.
certain bits that you think this is a little sensitive, I don't really want it to have this, then you can definitely curate that yourself. In
Okay.
most cases, it has been trained again and fine-tuned to try and keep that information private, so you probably won't see that popping up too much on the list. But if
Okay.
it does, then you can take it off.
Okay. And that's an aspect of dealing with any AI. You have to be aware of that. So, even when you're looking at the reports that ChatGPT says, is they say that, hey, basically other companies do the same thing as this is basically doing the same thing as search engines, right? Remembering what you're asking or what you're putting in there or whatever it may be. How is this maybe a next level deeper than that?
So this is sort of integrating within the interface, right? The
Mhm.
the model itself, whenever you put in something to the model, any prompt or anything, it's also giving this particular context as well. So it's sort of a more of an interweaving between the interface that you're using on the browser and the model itself, right? A little bit more communication between the two.
Got it. Okay, cool. So overall, as this is a decent size announcement, is it really impressive or is it maybe just one step in a certain direction?
I'd say it's more of an incremental step.
Hmm.
It's definitely something that people have been wanting, if not consciously, maybe unconsciously, any kind of conversation where people are more contextually understanding is a deeper conversation. And I think that's what they're working towards.
Okay. And would you think, when we're discussing this here and we went to a deeper discussion even yesterday, we talked about AI assistants. And if you don't know, OpenAI, it has probably this as a goal of theirs to create these really super powerful AI assistants. And one of their product leads, Joanne Zhang, mentioned we think that the most useful assistants are those that evolve with you and keep up with you. And so I would think a model having this type of memory capacity could be going in that direction. Is this another direction that you think ChatGPT will be eventually going?
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely the direction this is headed in terms of having an AI assistant that can understand and write down things that don't need instruction to write that stuff down and is more automated in that regard. It does make things a lot smoother in terms of interacting with the interface and the model.
Okay. And so you start thinking about security, but before we get to there, when if we have an AI assistant that knows not only kind of everything about me, but even my writing style, is this a future where the AI assistants are just the ones sending text messages or emails on my behalf? Is that where this could potentially lead?
It's possible. I think a lot of OpenAI wants to keep a lot of control in the user's hands, of course. So I think it's about walking a line between the control and the agency of the model and the customizability for the user. So I think if people want that, that is something that they can definitely do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely, there will be more functionality added down the road for that and for other companies as well. But it is really about integrating more data that the model can use so it better understands you as a user.
Okay. And just for the record, the memory will be used to train the model, right? Overall.
I'd say, let's see, since it's being sent in with your prompts,
Mm-hmm.
um, in a lot of cases, yes, but again, the model's fine-tuned to try and keep your sensitive information private, so it doesn't really remember that, and you have control over curating your little list of memories as well. So I think they're leaning more towards giving that kind of security control to the user, but keeping up a wall so that it's still usable and that people's privacy is assured.
Okay. And this may be an unfair question to ask, but I know that's kind of OpenAI's stance, right? When you hear Sam Altman talk about that, is this something that's across the industry? Is that what other companies may be saying at least as well?
I think it's a pretty big aspect of generative AI overall is what data is being used, and especially with Google and Microsoft as well. While they're integrating their AI assistants into their platforms, this is a huge pillar for them too. It's a pillar for any cloud platform because security is just major when you're trying to sell your services as a cloud platform. It's the same thing with AI.
It makes sense, right? And that's the reason why some people or large companies even hold back from it, right, from using it as much. So while we're on security, we talked about a couple concerns there. Were there any other concerns that you think will come to light or we should be weary of as everyday users?
I think there's nothing that I can predict right now in terms of what I might see. They have a lot of precautions set up right now to make sure that enterprise data, any kind of private business data, is behind a wall, especially with the teams and the enterprise accounts. They have a lot more functionality there set up. But yeah, I think as they roll that functionality out, as they roll memory out, we might see some circumstances where privacy might be breached. But I think we'll also see quick fixes for that too.
Okay, because it's so important. It's so sensitive to everybody, rightfully so.
Mhm.
I know there was another release, so I'll just ask this question quickly before we get to that one. Temporary chats, right? Is that where I'm going incognito and my data won't be seen by OpenAI? Is that what that means?
Yeah, basically, just adding on to the little privacy conversation there. That's exactly what it is. It's a great parallel. It's saying, hey, this session, I don't really want you to record any memory. I don't really want you to send any of this information, just the entire conversation, to train the model and just keep it private overall.
Cool. And hopefully, unlike Google, OpenAI keeps that private. The other update, and we'll get more into this in a couple other conversations in the future, especially with this just being in the testing phase. OpenAI released Sora, a text to video model. What were your first impressions?
Oh man, just looking at that blog post is it's so crazy. It's that one's a huge step for
Hmm.
sure. I'm gonna have to read a lot more about what they're doing, but it's already just looking at the research paper that they released last night. It is a blast, and it is going to change a lot of things. And I'm wondering how long it's been taking them in terms of research behind the scenes to get this going. But it's just a text. It's a text to video model,
Mm-hmm.
and you can put in prompts and you get out not text, not images, but full videos, and those can be up to a minute long, and that's going to change a lot, that's for sure.
And behind the scenes, and again, I know you read the research papers, and I love that. If we have about a minute or so more, is there anything else you could share us kind of behind the scenes about this tool?
Yeah, I would say so. They've been building from their previous models, right? This model uses in its training process, it uses Dolly, which is OpenAI's text to image, and it uses all of the natural language processing from GPT as well. All of these techniques have been combined into this one model that can do a lot with visual data. And I'm really interested in seeing where they go with this because it's not just visual data that this type of model can do, it's bigger picture data as well, like climate data or larger picture financial data, even.
It's incredible. I saw one of the scenes I guess they used was a historical representation of, I believe, California in around 1849. And I thought that was pretty neat to take these history settings and bring them to life. As a big history nerd on my end, that was one of the areas I was most excited about. And I think the drastic jump from just Google's Lumineer from, what was that, a month or two ago? It seems like we're going from PlayStation 5 in a month, right? And so I appreciate. We'll bring you on to chat more about that.
Of course.
But as always, your insight on AI is second to none, and I appreciate it always. For the jump, I'm Rich Bowers. Take care, everybody.